Yeet.
What the hell are we talking about?
Give me 2 seconds.
Oh
Bailed.
No, actually, I meant to do it at the beginning. But
You
you know what? Preview.
no! That's
uh,
awesome.
Nice.
he's got to wear that for a day at PAX. 'Cause he lost
You have to put the headphones like from behind, like this.
or underneath. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Preview.
Mm.
All right. So, God.
Keep going.
Yep. Okay. We now have a list of everything that Nintendo has increased the price on. And some additional products as well. So I suppose I can probably share this. It'll probably help.
Sure.
Let's hear this.
Bring her on in, buddy.
Share.
So the story is obviously Nintendo's increased prices.
Yep.
As of Sunday.
Yep.
In the US.
Correct. Shout out to Nintendo Everything for the list here. Okay, so now here's the list of prices here. The old Switch OLED has gone to 400, was 350. The standard Switch is now 340, it was 300. The Switch Lite is 230, it was 200. Joy-Cons are now 90, they were 80. Pro Controller is 80, it was 70. The NES controller pack is 70 now, it was 60. The N64 controller is 55, was 50, and the SNES controller was 35, or is 35, and it was 30. So it looks like on the accessories, it's a $5 to $10 increase, and then you got your $40 to $50 increases on $30 to $50 increases on your consoles.
Yep, there's more.
What? Oh, there is. Oh, shit.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, I know.
There's just a gigantic gap here. That's why I was
ad there. That's
perfect. That makes sense. Yep. Oh, that makes sense. No. Okay. For the Switch 2, Joy-Con charging stand is 35. It was 30. The Pro Controller is now 90. It was 85. Joy-Con 2s are now 100. They were 95. Dock set is 125. They were 120. For Amiibos, wow. Legacy Amiibos are $20. They were 16. 2-pack Amiibos, 35 or 40, depending on which ones. They were 30. The other things, the Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo is now 110. They were $100. And then the United States is not the only country impacted by these changes.
Yeah.
And then there's Canada with
Canada had their price changes.
Their stuff changes.
Including MSO that went up for them too.
Oof. Ouch. So, what do we think about this? Are we upset? Yes or no?
Just a question. Is the Switch Online price increases only in Canada?
Only in Canada.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Now, to be fair, if you do the exchange rate in Canada, they were paying less than we were for NSO, technically.
Okay.
Yeah, their currency's all... I don't know what's going on with international currencies.
Something about Joy-Con going from 95 to 100. I know it's only $5, but those three numbers really make it
that's
seem like,
crazy
wow.
for a controller.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
$100 for a controller. That's wild.
I know. I bought an extra set at launch, and I'm just like...
Thank God it did.
I mean, good thing I got my Pro Controller before the price increase. Because
by the way,
this controller's
Pro,
amazing.
I still think the Pro
I still don't
Controller
get it.
2s are still at the original price they had at Costco, which was already lower, and now it just feels even lower. The Costco didn't change the
Right.
price. So that's now the best place. It already was the best place. Now it's really the best place to get Joy-Con 2s. Or I'm sorry, not Joy-Con, the Pro Controller, the new one. But I assume that price will probably go up eventually. But for now, I'm fine with Costco now putting the price up. Thank you. Thank you. I might have to go get a second Pro Controller right now before it does go up. So look, my thoughts are obviously we're talking about Nintendo increasing prices. We all know, the due to market conditions, and they in their announcement they did note that they basically, without saying it, said they're probably going to raise prices on Switch 2 down the line, just not right now. And I got a feeling they'll probably hold the price on Switch 2 through the first holiday and deal with the price increase in 2026 if they feel like they have to, or if the market conditions change. I'm sure that's what they really hope, is that it comes back down. Because, look, the number one selling SKU of the thing's already $500. And that SKU is magically no longer going to be around after the holidays. So kind of a convenient time to maybe jump the price $50. I gotta say that my personal thoughts is obviously them having to raise the prices isn't obviously entirely their fault. But I'll also say when it comes to the Switch 1 stuff, especially, they've kind of made their money on Switch 1, in my opinion. Like, I know that this has been a weird generation. Like Xbox and PlayStation have both gone up in price when we're used to have prices going down. Like everything's doing the opposite of what we're used to at this point. And like Switch 1, it really feels like the price should be going down. We have Switch 2 out. So I know there's obviously different economic situations happening now compared to what we're used to. But I also think that Nintendo probably could have ate it on the Switch 1s, even if they were being sold for a loss. I don't know if they were, but if they were, due to all the economic changes, because they're going to make that back on software sales because they already have a huge install base. So like when Pokemon ZA drops this upcoming holiday, it's going to sell like crazy on Switch 1. It's going to do huge numbers. So like they don't really need to also profit off the Switch. Like they could just have that be break even or make a little less because they're not going to sell. That's not going to be the number one system selling this holiday anyways. It's not like they're going to go out there and sell 5 million Switch 1s this holiday. No, it's going to be 5 million, 6 million, whatever Switch 2s. So I kind of feel like they could have ate the cost, especially on the Switch itself. I also think there's other choices they could have made, like maybe don't have 3 SKUs for Switch 1 anymore. You already have Switch 2 out. Get rid of maybe the middle SKU. Just leave the OLED and the Switch Lite. Or if you want to make people feel better price-wise, get rid of the OLED then, I guess, and just leave the Switch Lite in the original. But anyways, I feel like they could have did that and consumers would have been okay with it. Like I'm not that mad about like seeing the Switch 2 accessory prices go up. One, they're already stupidly expensive. But two, they're also like new products already. Like these are already new products. And like this market's just changing like crazy. I know the yen's doing really terrible for them. So the exchange rates there are bad, all the new tariff situations. So I get raising prices on new modern products because I think people are going to have their eyes really blown wide open when they see what the PlayStation 6 gets announced at. Because that price, I think that price would shock a lot. It's possible. I don't want to say that, but it's probably
man. Those quadruple numbers. That's what game is gonna get to.
It won't be cheaper than the PS5 Pro. I'll tell you that. That's like your best hope is that they only charge $700. It's gonna be up to be more than that. So everything's going up. And it's going to start really hitting a lot of our consumer stuff. I think at some point next year, we're going to start seeing prices really start skyrocketing on things. So, and it already has in some situations. So I feel like I understand it. I hate it. If it was only affecting Nintendo, then I would be like, Nintendo, you're an evil corporation. Fuck you. But everyone's increasing prices. It's not just them. So this is like a market-wide issue. So for now, I'm just happy that Switch 2 games and consoles aren't going up because that's pretty much what most people are going to be interested in moving forward. So I guess the price went up on a system that has low demand. I guess I'm okay, but I don't like it. And I think Nintendo could have ate it if they wanted to. But anyone else got thoughts?
Yeah. Gamer, go for it. Yeah, go for it, Gamer.
I think it's a bummer. You know, seeing hardware that's 8 years old, getting a price bump, it sucks. You know, we've gone this long without a price drop, and honestly, I think the better story would have been the price drop, and it would have been a boost to those numbers. Let's get past that 160 million. You know, let's make Switch the best selling console of all time. I saw a gateway to that drop in the price. Not sure I see a path to that with a price increase, unfortunately. This one baffles me less than the Microsoft situation. When Microsoft, like when you have a console that you could barely get off the shelf, I don't know how a price. I feel like you just take the losses and you focus your R&D on what you have planned next, whether it's their handheld or a next home console. So that one's especially baffling. This isn't quite as bad as that, but you know, it's a bummer to see. It's another nudge to push people towards a Switch 2, I suppose, which I don't think this was a calculated move by Nintendo to do that. I don't believe that at all. But, you know, I definitely think people are going to think twice about picking up a Switch One going forward. Now that we've got the latest and greatest out, and that price is bumped up. As far as Switch 2 goes, again, it sucks anytime the price of anything goes up. Obviously, Nintendo wasn't planning on this. No one wants to, within a year of their console being out, bump up the prices as you're trying to keep the momentum and get those units out there. So I think if this was the plan all along, they would have just launched at a higher price and not had this, bad press, I suppose. But yeah, things are getting expensive. The accessories, the $5 bumps aren't that bad, but I mean, HMK put it into perspective with the $100 controller. It's expensive, man. Especially for a controller that might be susceptible to Joy-Con drift. We don't quite know yet.
Give it another week or two.
We'll find out in time. But at the end of the day, like Nate, I mean, you spelled it out pretty clearly. I feel like, the market, economic stuff going on right now around the world has really shaken things up. And I think I don't know. It's one of those unfortunate things that's never fun to report on. I think as long as Switch 2 continues to put out killer apps, and if we get an Ocarina of Time remake next year, or the next big 3D Mario and some great games, I don't think this is really going to slow down their momentum too much, even if they have to give a little bump to the cost. But we'll find out. I'm hoping this doesn't affect the games, because I feel like if anything, that would be the harder sell to consumers, as Mario Kart going up to $90, Donkey Kong going up to $80. That would be the harder and scarier sell. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping that they can delay any sort of Switch 2 price increase for as long as possible, and hopefully the markets change, things kind of have a turnaround, but we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. How about Darren? What do you think about this stuff?
Well, I'm mad I didn't buy a Pro controller before this happened.
Yep.
Because I really enjoyed the first Pro controller, and this one looks amazing.
Just have a friend who has a Costco membership. Still time.
There we go. Yeah, it's unfortunate but understandable. I mean, given the market conditions like we've talked about, I really can't see them raising the price of the Switch 2. They really can't. I mean, I know it's selling very well, but it's just so hard to justify that. I really think that you tack on another $50 on that price tag, and I really think that like a family would think a little bit more about whether they really need it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know there's people that are already at the price that's currently out. Just people I've talked to that haven't bought their kids or one yet, because it's just, hey, maybe we'll get with the light model. Maybe we can see something in the 300s. Well, I don't know if that's going to happen in this current economy. You're thinking might be 400, and that's wild to even think about. But of course, for right now, the system's 450, so it could be in the 300s somewhere, based on current pricing. Because the bottom line is the Switch 2 price hasn't gone up. There's no guarantee it ever does go up. I clearly think Nintendo would like it not to. So we'll see. Obviously, software sale momentum will help them as well. I mean, we're at the beginning of a gen. So software sales are always a little lower. But hopefully that momentum really picks up this holiday. And then maybe Nintendo just thinks it's best to eat it and hope that it bounces back in a couple of years. But we'll see. Let's toss it on over to HMK.
The whole situation really, really sucks. There's so many, variables and aspects that are affecting the price increases when it comes to all this legacy Switch stuff. Which when I first saw that the console price was going up, I'm just lamenting. We're what, 8 years? This year's 7. Next year's gonna be year 8, right? Of Switch One. And I'm always thinking to myself, man, remember back in the day where consoles went down in price as time went on instead of going up? And, we all were saying earlier in the chat that this wasn't a calculated move, but it could have just like fell onto Nintendo's cards in order to like, have people, basically, graduate themselves from Switch 1 into Switch 2 is like, oh, if I'm going to shell out this much money for a Switch 1, especially with the price increase, might as well just like, either save a little bit more, shell a little bit more, go the extra mile, get a Switch 2. Switch 2 does everything that Switch 1 does and more, right? And I definitely agree with the idea that Nintendo absolutely doesn't want to increase the price. They're probably like, just like every other company faced with this situation, they're probably heavily considering that they do need to increase the Switch 2 price due to the market conditions and everything else that's going on and whatnot. But they have way too much to lose if they do so before the holiday season. And, eating so much money from now until December, 4 months, it would be a lot better on their cards. And hopefully if everything like regulates, let's see, like lack of a better term, by the time after the holiday season, it's a lot better for them to eat that loss and then have everyone, or not everyone, but like more people have a Switch 2 in their arms in order to like basically go for your wallet through the games, because that's the main plan. A lot of people keep thinking that like, oh, the console is like, that's what the main moneymaker is. No, like the games is, if the console is in your hand, then that means that Nintendo or whoever else is selling a console like a PlayStation or Xbox, as long as the console is in your hand, then they have a gorilla grip on your wallet for the next 8 years, right? In way more ways than you can expect. Now we got games. Now we got NSO subscriptions. Now we got controllers that are going to be costing $100. So it's way better for them, and they know this because, like, come on, they did it already with the Switch 1. They know this, that like, oh, it's better to eat the loss with their brand new bouncing baby boy console into the holiday season in order to make sure that whatever salvageable positive word of mouth they can get with everything that's been going on with the past couple months since release, they can have that positive word of mouth, have everyone as much as they could, in terms of like whatever they're foreseeing in their sales forecast, have them have Switch 2s, and then like hopefully that positive word of mouth is like, hey, I love my Switch 2, I should get one, and then person A tells person B, and person B tells person C through F. They all have Switch 2s, and then that's more games to be sold to those people, and then blah blah blah. So as long as they eat the loss during that segment, it's gonna pay for them it's gonna pay positively for them in the long run. So, and they know this, so that's why hopefully they don't increase the price, but I don't see them increasing the price before the holiday season, like y'all are saying.
I think another thing to note too is one of the strengths of the Nintendo Switch is that it's a console that you want to have a multi-console household. If you have a family,
right,
everyone wants their own Switch. It's not like PlayStation or Xbox where you have one in the living room because it's a console you could take with you on the go. Everyone wants their own. So raising the price on Switch 2, it hurts that. It's like, well, is it feasible to have 2 or 3 Switches in the house? It's $550 now, or $575 now. Maybe we'll just have one Switch and you guys can all share it. So I think it would be to their betterment to keep the price down for as long as possible.
Okay. Who hasn't talked on this yet?
Attack the backlog.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, man, I echo a lot of what you guys saying. I think it's lame. I'll start by saying, well, if they're going to raise the prices, then I'm glad the brunt of it went to the Switch 1 and those accessories rather than the Switch 2. But like, how many people are buying Switch 1s now? Like, the sales have slowed down so much that I wasn't sure if it was going to beat the PS2 anyway. I thought it maybe would have. But now, like Gamebird was saying, if they're raising the price of $30-$40, that's really, really going to really make it hard for it to overtake the PS2. So then in that case, even less people are buying it. So then how much are they really saving by having those increases? And so what that does to me, it makes me worried that the current increase we've got on the Switch 2 are going to go up in the future. Not like you guys are saying, I don't see it this year, and I don't know necessarily about the console, but maybe they raise the price by $10-$20. I don't know. But the games worry me. The accessories worry me that they could go up further. The NSO for sure, I imagine, will go up further next year. That kind of stuff really worries me. And I think by raising the prices just slightly on the Switch 2 stuff, I think we'll forget about it in a week or two. But then that means down the line they can increase it again by another $10, and it's kind of like, oh, it's just going up another $10, and you kind of forget it's already gone up another 10 6 months ago. And so that all of that kind of worries me about it. And like, I don't know, with the Switch one, it's weird because I remember reading when it came out, I thought they were, unlike Sony and Microsoft, who usually make losses on their consoles, I think the Switch one was making like a small profit, wasn't it? Like just about over breaking even. But like you guys said, it's in its 8th year now. So like the cost must have come down heavily for manufacturing that console now. So I don't know. So like, I'm glad that, they put most of the increases on the Switch one, but I am worried for post December, January, how much more these prices are going to go up, because I expect they will. And then if we start talking about the new cartridges, like, are they going to be more expensive? What happens if Call of Duty comes and it has to be on like I don't know what size cartridge that has to be on? If it comes on a cartridge, how much will that game cost? Like, I don't know. There's a lot of things that worry me. Not right now, but in about 6 months' time.
Developers, compress your games.
Yeah, but optimize
Yeah,
your games
for
better.
real.
Absolutely, absolutely.
The Apex Legends jumping file size from
75 gigs. That's insanity.
Split
I mean,
Fiction's
granted-
like 69 on the Switch 2, which is insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you play on other systems, guys, this is how big they are. It is what it is. Like Switch 2 is, it's hitting with the big boys. So the big file sizes are coming. Let me just say, they better get that 2 terabyte SD Express out like sometime next year, because my 1 terabyte's basically full. It would be full if I installed all of my Switch 1 games. So, oh man,
Right.
I mean, literally, I had the 1 terabyte full on Switch 1, so I needed more storage.
Yeah,
that doesn't exist.
Stash Man.
Yeah, so this has been an interesting topic, obviously. My take on the price increase on 8-year-old hardware. Obviously, it's not something you do lightly. I really believe that Nintendo went through a lot of internal deliberation before making this call. Nobody wants to raise prices on aging products. It's never ideal. Obviously, we know that's usually the opposite of how the console life cycle works. That's always how it's been. And, we're seeing the price drops at this point. And I think that's something that we've all talked about on this podcast, is that was something Nintendo's had in their back pocket, right? Is that, hey, this is how they're actually going to pass the DS. And this is how they're going to be able to pass the PS2s, because they have that price drop in their back pocket that they still haven't used 8 years later. And so now it's looking like that's no longer in their back pocket. So that should be interesting. And I think that's one thing that we can probably talk about at some point as a topic here on the podcast, to see if they're actually going to hit that goal now. But I think when you take a step back, right, and look at the bigger picture, there's just more going on. We all know that the market conditions, aka the tariffs, right, dealing with that hits things like the controllers, legacy hardware. Obviously, you look at the production runs, the production cost with the inflation, shipping, the increased material costs. I don't personally think that Nintendo's raising prices to take advantage of the consumer. That's not a good business practice. We all know that. But at the end of the day, like Nintendo, like any other company that we support, they're a business. And businesses, as we know, are here to make money. If they don't make money, we're not going to get new video games and new consoles. But I've said this for years. I don't believe Nintendo raises prices just because they can. And I don't buy into the idea that Nintendo is greedy, which is a common thing on the internet. A greedy company doesn't operate the way Nintendo has historically. You look at companies like Microsoft, where the CEO made $80 million and they lay off thousands of people on a regular basis. Meanwhile, Nintendo executives have taken pay cuts without being asked to do so. They've done this in the past, so that they wouldn't have to lay off people. I think that says a great deal about how they operate. So, look, overall, no, I don't like the price increases. Nobody does. Nobody's ever going to like that. But I also don't think they were careless or predatory. I think this was, a business decision made with sustainability in mind. And as players, we can be critical while still recognizing the difference between corporate greed and long-term strategy. So I think this is totally something that they had to do and they did not want to do, but they had to do it. I don't mean this was to still make profit or even a loss. We don't know the numbers, but I got to say that this was not taken lightly. And, attack the backlog. You mentioned that in a week, people will forget about this. And, this won't be a headline anymore. I completely agree. Completely. That is how it goes.
Mhm.
Look, these prices are high, but look, I'll say this. During the whole Switch 1 generation, outside of in the last like 6 months, did I buy like an extra set of Joy-Cons? I don't know why I'd really need an extra set. I use my Pro controller. And again, as Nate mentioned, what is it? Is it 72 at Costco?
At Costco, I'll look quick.
Yeah, I saw Wario post about it again. That's significantly cheaper. Donkey Kong Bonanza. My
75.
cousin was going to pick it up digitally. I'm like, my cousin lives down the street from Costco. I'm like, Jim, go to Costco. Go pick it up physically. Like, trust me, you're going to want to own this physically. And it's a better deal there. It ain't much, but you're saving like $7-8.
Yep.
And you literally have to pass it every day that you go home and every day that you go to work. So you just go there and get it. But, Costco membership, this might be something that I think Nintendo fans want to look into, because I will say this too. Throw this out there for Costco. Their eShop gift cards are always 10% off. 365 days a year, 10% off. Always. So whenever I buy anything on the eShop, I buy the cards from Costco. I buy them online. They're delivered to my inbox within 5 or 10 minutes. And then I plug the codes in, and I essentially just get 10% off everything I buy on the eShop. Sometimes they do 20% off, which they recently did. So I just bought $500. That was the max in eShop cards, because I know I'm going to spend that during the Switch 2 lifespan. So I essentially just gave myself 20% off on all digital games. So that's why I say the membership starts to pay for itself if you're going to be buying the first party games, because Nintendo or Costco gets all the first party games. You can always count on them to at least have the first party stuff. So yeah, little way to save money, especially when prices are going up on, again, everything. My insurance, my homeowner's insurance, car insurance, you name it. Everything's going up, man. What can we do, right? It's an uncontrollable. There's nothing we can do about changing the cost of stuff except try to make more money, right?
I act like we weren't trying to do that the whole time.
Right.
Right? Always are.
All right.
Yeah, I'll my last little 2 cents in here is, it sucks, obviously, but to a certain extent, I'd rather have them raise the price on the Switch 1 than the Switch 2 stuff. So it sucks, that it might hamper, it passing, like you said, Attack the Backlog, passing the PlayStation 2. But, that doesn't mean that in, 4 or 5 months things turn around and they can actually hit the price drop, for Christmas or even, beginning of next year. So I think it hopefully is a temporary thing, but yeah, it sucks, but that's the way the world is going right now. And yeah,